Hey guys, welcome to my October bullet journal with me. This is my first page for my October spread, and I have already sketched out a few things that I want to do in kind of the general theme. But I'm just going to be freehanding a lot of this stuff, so bear with me if any of this looks not the best. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with how it came out, but let's just go ahead and get started and jump right into the video. So for my first page, I'm going to be using a regular wooden pencil, a micron pen, and an eraser to erase all my sketches. So I'm going to start in the top left corner and just start going over all of the sketches I made already and just try to darken them up, maybe correct some lines if I didn't like how they were. And you can tell I'm trying to have like very little open space in this one. I want this one to be like jam-packed full of fun. So I'm putting little dots and hearts and stars everywhere. So I didn't really want to do a typical Halloween theme, but I saw an example of this on Pinterest and was absolutely in love, so I decided to do my whole monthly spread this theme. But I'm just gonna start adding in things like candy, pumpkins, some spiders and cobwebs and candy corn, and there's these little cloud doodles that I really like. I'm not really sure what they're supposed to be, but I really like them. And then of course we have some ghosts that say boo, and potions and poisons and witch's brew, and a lot of really cool stuff. Alright, so now that I have all of my doodles outlined with my micron, I'm going to go in with my black Tombow and fill in all of the hearts and all of the spiders. I'm just going to go back over them and just try to make everything a lot darker and make it more vibrant. And then I'm going to fill in the letters of October. And now I'm going to take a gray Tombow and start filling in the little witch's brew pot that I drew at the bottom. And I thought that this was a lot better than my first time using a Tombow. The lines aren't as bad. And then I just picked out a super tip to use for filling in my little potion bottles. Now I'm using an orange Tombow for all of the pumpkins and also the candy corn. Can't forget about that. Alright, and now I'm going to take a yellow Tombow and fill in the bottom parts of the candy corn and also the stripes on the wrapped candy. And then I'm just going to take a brownish orange super tip and fill in some of the stars and try to give them a little bit of color too. And then we're going to use the same super tip we used earlier for the little potion bottle and just try to give it some color. Make the potion green and the witch's brew green and parts of the lollipops. Now I'm going to fill in some of the clouds with one of my super tips, and sorry about the lighting change, not really sure what happened here. And now is for my favorite part. I took a light gray super tip and started giving some things some dimension and giving some shadowing. And now we're going to take a purple Tombow and fill in all of the candy wrappers. So now we're just finishing up some small little details and adding a few more hearts and circles, and then that's going to pretty much complete this page, so we can go ahead and move on to the next one. So now we're going to skip a set of pages and go to the next one, which is going to be my mood tracker. So I've already sketched out pretty much what I want to do. And I'm just going to take my micron pen and go over all my sketches again. And for this one, I'm doing kind of like a witch's brew. And then I'm doing some bubbles as like each day, and you fill it in with the color and you'll see. So now I'm just putting some little bubbles on top of my little pot at the bottom, and then I'm going to add some bottles. And these are going to be like my little key, I guess you could say. So I'm going to write in what each bottle equals as the mood, if that makes sense. I never know what to put on these things, like different moods and stuff. So if y'all do any mood trackers, tell me in the comments below what different moods you put in your key. actually ran out of space on the bottom, so I had to freehand a little shelf with some more bottles on it, and then I just freehanded some flames coming up and put My Moody Brew on the Witch's Brew, and now I'm just erasing all of my sketch marks. And sorry about the lighting change again. I'm not entirely sure why my lighting keeps changing, but now I'm going to go add some more of the little circles like what we did on our first page, and some little diamond star looking things, and we are just gonna try to fill up the page and give it some more little designs. So now is for the fun part. We're gonna add some colors. So I'm picking out the different colors that I want to use for my bottles, and I'm trying to pick out some that I use frequently so I know exactly which markers they are. Most of these are gonna be Tombows, but I do use a few Crayola Super Tips in these. And then I'm also coloring in the little bubbles that are on top of the Witch's Brew pot, just to give it some more color. So I'm going to take a yellow Tombow and fill in all of the little diamonds at the top, and I'm not going to fill in the dots. I want to kind of keep them the same. And then I feel like I was missing something, so I added a few of the black hearts, like what we did on our first page, and then a few more extra dots with my micron, and then we just added some shading to the bubbles because I really like how the Super Tips are doing with the shading. And then we're just going to take a Tombow and fill in the Witch's Brew pot. And I didn't try as hard to be clean with this because I kind of wanted this to be like rusty and like kind of like used, I guess. And then I went over the My Moody Brew with my Tombow, and now I am coloring in some flames. So I am using the yellow Tombow, the orange Tombow, and then I go in with a red Super Tip for a very fine line. And that is pretty much it for this page. Now I'm going to go on to the next page and do a habit tracker. So here you can kind of see me start to sketch out what I want to do. And then I'm going to take a short break and come back, and it's going to be magically sketched in. There we go. So now I kind of have an idea of what I want to do. I want to track 3 different habits this month. This is my first time doing a habit tracker, but I think it'll go pretty well. So again, we're using the Micron PN, and we're going to try to keep the same font for the title habit tracker that we did on the first October page. So now that I've filled that in with my Tombow, I'm going to get my Micron and start doing the actual grid pattern for the habit tracker. And I actually got this idea to do separate trackers for each habit and do grids from Amanda Ratchley on YouTube. So I watched her, I think it was her 2018 flip through video where she flipped through her entire bullet journal, and I really liked how hers turned out, so I kind of wanted to put my own spin on it. So here I'm going to do little squares around my grid, and my grid did get kind of messy, so I'm not a huge fan of that, but I think with more practice I think it should look better. But I'm going to be tracking how many times I work out, my Facebook posts, and then flossing. So I am trying to start flossing every day. That's one of my new goals. So I want to track that a lot too. And again, we're going to try to keep the same handwriting font for the little subtitles here. But I'm not too big on trying to make them look perfect because they are just little subtitles. They aren't big things. But now we're going to go through and add some of the same little doodles to the whole page and try to fill it up a little bit. So I did really want to do some spiders hanging off the words. So I think I end up doing about 2 or 3. But I didn't want to go too crazy on this page because I don't want it to be like too claustrophobic. So I did a lot of the general idea of the doodles, but then I filled a lot of it in with little bubbles and hearts and stars. So now it's time for the fun part again. I get to erase all of my sketches and then get out my markers and start coloring. So I'm going to do the same colors that I did for the first page, and the same markers, same everything, the orange Tombows, yellow Tombows, and a lot of Super Tips too. I've been really into using my Super Tips lately, so let me know in the comments below if you use Super Tips too. So now I'm just adding some regular shading with the same super tip I used on the first page, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut through so you don't have to watch me color in all of the circles. So that is pretty much it for this page, just adding a few finishing touches and touching up things with my tombos and filling in the stars. But now I think we're ready to move on to the next page. So we now went back to the first page after my October page, and I decided to do my prayer request and my songs on the same page this month since I didn't have that many last month. So I'm going to just do prayers on the top and songs on the bottom, and I have a little square for me to write in. And I went ahead and sketched out some bats. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't be afraid to go a little brutal if you want, because I know they look pretty rough. Like, they look like they have been through it and they're coming back from the grave. But I guess that's what Halloween's about this year, so I guess it kind of matches the theme. And now that I've erased all my sketches, I'm just going to touch up a few things. Freehanding some ghosts and spiders and candy corn and all the fun stuff that we've been having throughout our entire theme this month. So I do think that I like it better when I just freehand it rather than sketching them out for the doodles like this, because I kind of just like get to look at the whole page and see where I think something needs to go rather than, you know, where I thought it needed to go a while back, if that makes sense. But here you can see me thinking about how to fill in some more, because I thought it was a little empty, but I didn't really have that much space. And now I'm just going to add some dots and stars and hearts and all the usual. So now I'm going to start coloring in all of the hearts and spiders and touching up the letters a little bit with my black Tombow, and then I'm going to do all of the stars and kind of see how that looks and then finish coloring in the rest. And now we're going to add some shadows, and I think after that we're going to be about done with this page. We are going to put some shadows on the boxes too to give them a little dimension. And then we're going to go on to our next page, which is a cute little quote that I thought of, and it says, "'Tis the season to be spooky." And I kind of wanted this page to be a little bit more plain and not as much going on, to kind of give you a break in between the two fun pages and the next two fun pages. So we're going to keep this one a little bit more naked. But I'm just going to try to keep the same handwriting font and then go over it with my black Tombow to give it some more shadowing. And then we're going to add this little cobweb looking thing in between to be spooky. And then we're just going to doodle some fun little ghosts and add some shading on those. Now that we're getting done with our shading, we can go ahead and flip through to our weekly spreads. So I have went ahead and sketched out the first weekly spread, and I did include the Monday of September just because I like to start my weeks with Mondays. And worst case, I'll just have to write the things I have going on the 30th again, so it's not that big of a deal. So I went ahead and wrote the date and the day with my micron, and then I sketched out some boxes, and I'm just going over them with the Tombow. I'm not using the micron on these because I want it to have kind of like a softer feel. And then over here in the little space, I was testing out a few different writes to do spooky season, so I ended up doing one of those fun handwriting fonts and then added a cute little ghost underneath. And I did mess up on the ghost cheeks. I think it was a little too much, but who cares? So now on to the next page. We are going to try to fit in as many days on this page as we can. This is another idea that I stole from Amanda Batchley's video, and it didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it to, and I did have an issue where I forgot Thursday. But you know, we're just gonna roll with it. And now we're gonna finish the shading on the ghost in the middle and then go to our next page. So this is gonna be able to hold the rest of the month of October on these two pages. So I just made some squares, and I'm going to outline them with my micron pen. And yes, I did end up doing one too many, and I didn't realize because I forgot Thursday on the last page. But this is where I was realizing when I forgot Thursday. Oh my gosh. But I did end up doing something really cool with my extra square, so just keep watching and you'll see. But here I am just going to write in the date and the day, and this one I wanted to keep kind of simple as far as the squares go, but pretty simple, no, pretty crazy with the background. So this is where I am turning my extra square into a little Polaroid of a ghost, and I was kind of envisioning like the Snapchat ghost, but more of a spooky version. I'm so sorry, you guys. I have no idea where my footage of me doing the doodles in the background went, but here is a very slowed down clip from my flip through, and it kind of shows you what this page turned out to be. I really like all the candy corn in it. I feel like it gives it a lot of color and it's really fun. The only thing I would have changed was on the left side, brought those candy corn down more in between the middle row of boxes, because I feel like that would kind of give it some symmetrical look to it versus just having them on the top part. But you know, you live and you learn. So here is my final flip through. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to go check out my Instagram, like and subscribe and comment below if you enjoyed the video, and tag me in your October spreads too. I want to see what you came up with. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Have a wonderful October.